Hi, I'm Charmaine. Welcome to the Love of Self podcast, where we delve into the emotional aspects of finding love for self. Today's topic is abandoned. With a neglected experience, we can be left to deal with our own emotions. We can be left to swallow whatever heartache being abandoned causes. And so, what do we do with that? We have to deal with the reality of something we thought was there but was missing, and what that ends up requiring us to face within ourselves. The sensation that abandonment can bring that helps us come to grips with reality, the obvious delusion we may have been in. It has a jolting realization of what we now have to do for ourselves that we expected someone else to do for us or help us with. The support system that we thought would always be there instead turns its back on us. And once we're able to grasp somewhat of an understanding of the reality within that, and the reality of why it becomes necessary that we give that care to ourselves, and more importantly, how we go about doing that, how we then begin filling up the emptiness that comes with abandonment and the abundant task that it takes to revitalize that space, the needs that you have to meet yourself with, and the directions that you go into to make sure that they're met. And that part can be very tricky. We can go the easy route and fill the pain with a replacement, with something that takes the pain away, with something that eases our mind out of sorrow. Or we can take the hard route, which is allowing yourself to feel the sorrow and go through the process of your own inner development through a painful, neglected period. One way gives longevity of the emotions. It gives emotional strength, and the other way only looks like it does. If we decide to take a route of steadfast love, if we decide to move on and forward with striving to give ourselves what we need, I wonder what that would begin to take on if I let go of the abandoned place in my heart, the unloved feeling that it can bring you, the feeling of being unsupported, undervalued, the feeling of worthlessness that it brings. And then, step by step, at the very least, thinking about how we can bring all of those things to ourselves, how we can emotionally develop through something like that. What would I need myself to see within me in order to bring in the opposing factors of those things? How would I bring myself to feel worthy? Where would I go to bring the life back into the joy and support that I'm now bringing myself? How would I need to move in order to give myself what I need? And there's a lot to come to grips there. There's a lot to acknowledge. There's a lot of inner emotional strength that would have to be developed in order to begin. But it's certainly worth a try. It's certainly worth the thought. It's worth the action for yourself. It's worth the potential fulfillment. It's a very difficult thing to want something so bad from someone else that you can't have. That's why it's so pivotal for us to learn to give it to ourselves, to the point where we don't have to remind ourselves to do it anymore. It just becomes a part of who we are. We would want to be here for ourselves in an emotional way. And it takes the groundwork with dealing with whatever sorrow and pain and anger, anxiety that the abandonment that we go through creates. But there's a part that we take in our own emotional value. There's a lesson that we must learn through whatever heartache abandonment causes, so that we may learn something for ourselves, something else that no one else can teach you. And that is how you yourself can fill in the emptiness inside, how you can bring yourself back to the place that is uplifted and supported, how you then not take on the same energy of the person who abandoned you, to then begin to abandon yourself, abandon your own emotions, abandon your own inner strength of what you need to now see a way through, to now believe in something within yourself that unfortunately we couldn't do in someone else. But no matter what, in whatever circumstances in life that we have, whatever cards we are dealt, no matter our specific environments that we have, one thing is inevitable, that we will always have to be here for us in one way or another. I'd like to thank you for taking these few moments to listen to what I have to say. I greatly, greatly appreciate you. So I'd like to ask you, are you aware of your worthiness? Are you aware of the good that you are in spite of others not being able to see it? In spite of others' abandonment? Are you able to see the things in you that someone else couldn't? What do you think about fulfilling your own needs that were abandoned by someone else? If you took the first step in doing that, what would it be? If you decided to take on the work that you need for your own fulfillment that was abandoned by someone else, what do you think you would do with that? Where do you think you would go with that? What do you think that you could potentially see within yourself through that? And where do you think it would take you? I'd love to hear from you. Please comment or email theloveofselfpodcast@gmail.com. Please remember, I am not a therapist. Also, my new book is out, Love Yourself, a book of poetry and spiritual writings for self-love. It's available now on bookbaby.com. Purchase link is in my Instagram bio. I wish you all peace, love, and joy always. Until next time.